The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster by, good afternoon. This is Mannin Line on Manx Radio. Your chance to have your say between now and 1 by calling 66 13 68, text 166 177, WhatsApp 166 177, email studio@manxradio.com. Yesterday, at this time, we started an online social media vote, and that was to find out whether you thought that the bishop should retain the vote in Tynwald, the bishop should keep their vote, or whether or not you thought they shouldn't. Now, I did mention at the time, lots of people said, I'm not online. Well, it was purely an online one. It was a social media vote. I wanted to see what would happen if we put the vote out on Facebook or on Twitter. And lots of people contacted me and said, can we have other votes and what have you? Well, this is just a straw poll. It's non-scientific, so you read into it whatever you want. However, the vote is as follows. On Facebook, we got 377 votes. 158 said the bishop should retain a vote. 219 said no. That's 42% yes to the vote, 58% said no. On Twitter, we got 363 votes, 114 said yes to retaining the vote, and 249 said no. That's 31.4% for yes, 68.6% for no. So if you combine them all, 740 votes, 272 yes, the bishop should keep the vote, and 468 said no. So that's 36.8% yes, 63.2% no. So you read into that whatever you want. It's a purely social media poll, and the Twitter poll's expired now. The Facebook one doesn't expire, so you can actually vote if you want to, and we'll keep on looking at it as well. So, and to the people who said, I'm not online. Well, we did it online for that particular reason. We just want to see which way the wind is blowing, and you can, as I say, you read into it whatever you want. Facebook and Twitter votes really just said 36.8% keep the vote, 63.2% don't keep the vote. So we'll move on. And David's with us now. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. I didn't do Twitter and I didn't do Facebook either, but my answer was the bishop should stay. But anyway, that's my record. But I wanted to challenge you on a couple of issues, really. It's regarding now the wind's been blowing in Laxey for a while. Isn't it a simple resolution now we know that the DOI, it was a simple request from the local authority to the DOI to do something about the stones and the gravel that was building up on Laxey Beach? So I just wondered myself, you would think that Douglas Corporation or the city or whatever it is now would say the same thing. Could we not test a bit of the beach down at on Douglas Prom there? And if you go down today, you want to see the wind and the sea whipping things up there. So there'll be more tons of stuff by the weekend. And my other question was to you, Andy, too, is regarding this money, they call it commuted sums now. It used to be Section 13 legal agreements, is putting money into a fund to be used.
Yeah.
Would that money then be allocated to housing board or authority to use? And I just throw that out there because this housing board, this Quango, which we're not getting a grip of to find out what's going on and how they have so much power to get money from central government, would that pot be used, extra money for this housing board to do what they want?
Well, they say that the commuted sums apparently are going to, it's into a fund for affordable housing.
Yeah, but who's running the affordable housing? Is that Isle of Man government or the housing board on behalf of Isle of Man government?
Well, it's a DOI housing reserve fund, apparently, that's used exclusively to either develop or refurbish affordable housing. But that's the only detail we've got. It's the DOI housing reserve fund.
And I just wonder, Andy, how much has been in the fund, or what have they expended the money on the fund on lately? Or
I don't know about
year?
you. I've never heard of it before today.
Well, I didn't. I was always known as, when I was planning chairman there, as Section 13 agreements, which were legal documents. And I always remember the most prominent one when I was there was to do with the flats down near the harbour, near Tesco. And I shouldn't advertise, but I did. When they couldn't put the affordable, they bought some land somewhere else and they built some first-time buyers up by B&Q.
Right.
Now, that was agreed, and it was a legal document done by these legal documents are in power. But I just wondered, why does it stop an application going through on somebody that wants to put flats somewhere where it's used to be a hotel and it's a cleared site? They can argue about the commuted sum later on in life, can't they? But isn't the issue there is, should not planning make a decision? Yes, they're suitable there because it's a location. It's going to fit in nice with the background or the properties are around there. I just wondered, when we're not getting forward on different things, we seem to go one step forward and 20 back.
And I mean, also regarding the Ocean Castle development, I mean, saying that they're not suitable for affordable housing. I mean, doesn't that send out a mixed message, really, that, is it only for very rich people there? Because affordable housing can also mean a young couple just starting out. And they may, their income may, grow exponentially as they grow and they get better jobs and what have you. So doesn't it kind of slam the door in people's face who want to step up? Aren't we meant to be giving people a step onto the ladder?
Yeah, and that's why we have first-time buyers, and we plan developments which will include that. I just wondered regarding is the issue, because when you're in apartment blocks and they are quite substantial, there's what called a maintenance fee, there's an insurance fee, you've got to have the lift serviced once a year, the property may want painting, the carpets may want thing, and you have what we call not a bond. It's an issue that you've got to pay into a fund regular. Yeah. Now, maybe how do you work that out if people are just doing first time buyers? First time buyers usually on their own. They survive, sink or swim. We can support them as they come along on an individual property, but maybe in an apartment block, when it's maybe you've got to have 7 or 8 blocks there, 7, 8 for first-time buyers. Would they fit in?
And as you say, it might be nice to know what the money's going towards, and really, as you say, who's in charge of it.
Yes. Who's pressing the button? That's the thing. Is it the council minister, the chief minister, or is it a minister that's in the DOI? I don't think that fund will be sitting in the DOI. It'll be sitting in Treasury. So therefore, it's Mr. Allison up north.
Right, okay. All right, thanks, David. Yep. All right, good to hear from you. And Brian's with us now on Mannin Line. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Andy. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Brian. What's on your mind?
A saga for you. A saga. Are you sitting comfortably?
Yes, as comfortably as I can today, yes.
Right. Here we go then. A saga about trying to pay a bill on the phone to Manx Gas. Right. Part 1. My sister-in-law tried to pay her gas bill by the phone and failed. Part 2. Enter stage left, brother-in-law. Brother-in-law says, I'll take up the cudgels, i.e. phone for you. So I phone up Manx Gas, tring, 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 get through to a friendly lady. A friendly lady robot who says, please enter your customer number. You'll find your customer number at the top of your invoice. It's a 6-figure number. Key in this number. Ding, 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 ding. This number is not recognized.
Oh, crikey.
Please try again. Ding, 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 ding. This number is not recognised. I will transfer you now to one of our other agents, stroke, commissars, whatever. Little bit of music, quite pleasant. I think it was Mozart. Anyway, this gentleman comes on and he says, hello. I said, hello. I'm trying to pay a bill for my sister-in-law. And he says, is your sister-in-law there? Yes. Can I have a word with her? Pass the phone to sister-in-law. And she says, yes, this is my brother-in-law. Answer the security question, pass the phone back to me. Right. Can you tell me what your customer number is? Well, I know this by heart now. So I gave him the customer number. He says, right, I'm passing you on to our department that deals with payments. Passes me on. He says, but can you give me your telephone number just in case that the phone goes dead, and we will then get back to you on the phone. 2 points. First of all, he should have known what the telephone number was, and the second one was, we may get back to you if the phone goes dead. Yes. What he should have said was, the phone will go dead and we will not get back to you, which is exactly what happened. And this is what happened the first time my sister-in-law tried to ring. So this was a second attempt. So I'm trying to put a bit of humour into it, but this is not funny. Because my sister-in-law is not on the internet, so she's got two options, pay by phone or go to the post office. Can't pay by the phone, so she didn't want to bother anybody, including myself, to go down to the post office. But, I mean, I don't mind going to the post office for her, no problem. So now I'll have to go down and pay by the post office. But this is absolutely ridiculous. There must be a lot of older people who are not on the internet, who are trying to pay their bill by phone and have this performance. It's an absolute nonsense. Now, in comparison, I pay my oil bill to Manx Petroleum. I go on the phone and it takes a maximum of 1 minute. Enter your tell them the account number, put your card details in, done. I mean, what's going on?
And when they say, you know, the phone might go dead, I mean, yes. Surely they know full well the phone is going to go dead. Yeah,
and it does. And they don't get back to you.
And was there a reason that he couldn't take the payment there and then?
No, because he had to he was going to transfer it to a department that could take the payment.
It's almost like they don't want the money.
Well, it's just, it's quite unbelievable. I mean, I thought, we're in the age of technology and this kind of thing happens.
Will they take a cheque?
Oh, they'll take a cheque at the post office.
No, but can you send a cheque to the gas people? Can you just send a cheque back through to them?
But I didn't. We just wanted to pay by phone.
I know. Yeah.
Three options: internet, phone, or post office. That was the three options for payment. So one option is not available to her because she's not on the internet. The phone is obviously not available, so I'll have to go down and pay it at the post office.
So they're hardly making it easy for you.
For anybody. There must be a lot of people out there who are having the same kind of problem.
At least they didn't say, your phone call is important to us and put you on hold.
No. The lady robot, that was the first one. I mean, she said, we will transfer. I thought, we?
It's the royal we, yes.
How many robots are there?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Andy, this is...
Well, the thing is, Brian, we make light of it, but actually it's not funny.
It is not funny. It is not funny at all. Something will have to be... I mean, all they need to do is get in touch with Manx Petroleum and say, how do you do that?
Yes.
You do it in a minute.
Yes, okay.
You know. Can you tell us how we do it in a minute? I mean, oh dear.
I think we all know the answer to that, Brian.
Okay, I think I've had my little rant.
Good. All right. Thanks for calling today.
Okay. Bye.
It's 22 minutes past 12. If you had that sort of problem with Manx Gas, Isle of Man Energy, what do you do? How do you do it? It's supposed to be easy to pay bills nowadays. It's hard enough to pay the darn things, but if they don't make it easy to pay, and if you had that where you have to key in your customer number and the thing doesn't recognise it. I don't like the idea of mandatory voting, somebody said yesterday, because sometimes there's no one you would want to make the decisions for you. Ian, this is, on 490. It would be a sad day if the usual, it's a sad day if people who phone Mannin Line become MHKs. Because they know how to run the country. You certainly couldn't run it by Googling as everything seems to be the trend. The internet's made a mess of the world by trying to help it. Getting people involved in the political process. I.e., if you complain about politicians doing things that you don't like, you need to get involved in the political process. Certainly everybody needs to vote, and you can also stand as an MHK or a commissioner. You can stand as a councillor. You can get involved. So I was talking about the fact that in Australia, it's mandatory to vote. You have to vote. It's compulsory. And if you don't vote, you get fined. It's $20, something like that. It's not an arm and a leg, but it will cost you if you don't vote. And also, there is no option for and none of the above in our current system, but you can spoil the paper. It's not a criminal offence. If you want to spoil the paper, you can, and that will probably be taken as, none of the above. So, mandatory voting, do you think that's any sort of idea? Or as always comes round, this idea of electronic voting, although maybe not using the same company that put the Isle of Man energy payment system in place. Personally, says Brian, I have no problem with the Bishop having a vote. There are far more important issues than this administration needs to address rather than wasting time voting for the removal of the Bishop's vote. Although it's been mentioned that society is changing rapidly. But if the Bishop does lose his vote, perhaps it will be a good opportunity to replace him and all the MLCs with artificial intelligence. That would save us a lot of money, says Brian. And Barbara's on now. Hi, Barbara.
Oh, hello. The person that answered the phone to me really coerced me to come on to speak to you when I didn't really want to. But here I am. It's just about the gas bills. I have gas, and when I pay my bill, you phone up, it's a call centre across. And so what I do is I make out a cheque and I post it to the gas board in Douglas, and then it usually comes through as paid on my bank statement. So I don't know whether that would help anybody to pay their gas bill.
So you just send a cheque?
I do, and if they don't accept it, well, I don't know. That's up to them. I send it because I don't do clever technology and, banking online and all of that. I'm not really any good at it, and I'm not interested in it anyway.
Oh, I see. It's not that you probably would be very good at it. It's just
I probably would, but I don't want to because I'm very old and very stubborn, and I don't like the changes that are going on. And if any of my family are listening, they will die of embarrassment.
Oh.
But never mind.
All
So
right.
I just thought I'd tell you that, and that's what I do. That's how I pay my gas bill. I
Bless
don't
you.
try and phone up anymore and give numbers that they say, no, we haven't got it, and what have you.
All right, Barbara,
Okay.
thanks for calling today.
You're very welcome. Have a good day.
Good
Bye-bye.
to hear from you. Text, email, call and WhatsApp and whatever's on your... We're open line today through till 1 o'clock. Brian's on now. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Andy. I'm just going to have a bit of a whinge. It's about time somebody said this. Now, this boat we bought from Korea, it's twice the size, well, it's twice the weight of the Bennet Cree. Now, that bit of wind last night shouldn't have stopped it. I mean, we might have just touched gale force 8. That's about all. Now, this boat hasn't gone about 5 or 6 times in the last month. This is disrupting the island all the time. What are we doing about this boat? And can I tell you, on Sunday, when I've just spoken to a guy, I've just been out shopping and speaking to a guy, he went across on the boat on Sunday. There's still no drinking water on the boat. He came back on Tuesday, still no drinking water on the boat. So what is going on with the Ben McCree?
Well, we keep on asking questions. In fact, we keep on asking the steam packet about this. In fact, there's a rather there's a bit of skeet going out today about some cattle that were taken across that we haven't got to the bottom of yet. We've asked the steam packet about that, but we aim to find. I mean, the fact is, if they'd said right at the start, Brian, that there were going to be the snagging period was going to be a year and there may be problems with it, but nobody said, this may not be perfect.
But before let me just carry on a bit. And this boat, it hasn't gone again today. That weather's not that bad. It's not that bad. The Ben McCree would have gone today.
Well, I think it was it was a Force 8 earlier on, so the Ben's been out in the Force 8 before now.
No, it's dropping off all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not going tonight either. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, at the moment they're saying it is going tonight.
Oh, they've changed their mind now. Yeah, it is going tonight. Oh, right. But it's a disgrace, this boat, really, at the moment, isn't it?
Well, it's funny, this brings back in my head 25-year-old echoes, because when I started doing Mannin Line, the Ben had just arrived replacing the King Ori, and everybody hated the Ben when she came. But
hang on, yeah, I remember this. The Ben was a bit high out of the water, so what they done, they put 500 ton of concrete in the hold, didn't they?
Well, they certainly, they put extra ballast in. I can't remember the exact amount, but
and the boat's been a cracker since.
Yeah, well, and remember they put an extra passenger lounge on the back as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's turned out to be a good boat. It'll be a shame if it has been sold, because they say there is a rumour going round it's been sold, hasn't it?
Well, there's a rumour. I think they've asked Treasury for permission to sell it if needs be, rather than just lease it out, wet lease it out. And the rumour is that she may be going to Caledonia McBrain in Scotland because their boats aren't ready.
Well, right, here's my second little whinge. You know the weather forecasters. Why don't they just tell us what the weather's going to do? Today, we've got a yellow weather warning because it's going to rain. Well, I'm in Port Eden, and it's not even raining. It's a little few spots and spits about. That's about it. But wouldn't they be better concentrating on telling us what the weather's going to do? Not telling us, don't go out, there's a yellow weather forecast and a yellow weather warning. I mean, we're getting like a shower of wokes on this island, aren't we? We're going to end up like the English. I mean, I'm English myself, but we're going to end up like they are over there.
Well, the yellow weather warning for heavy rain finishes at 4 o'clock this afternoon, so maybe it's come early to Port Erin.
Well, all right. But, I mean, what's a bit of rain? A bit of wind? We are getting into the winter now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're certainly there, and that's the fact is from October onwards, October through to March, we'll expect wind and rain on the Isle of Man.
All right, Andy.
Good to hear from you. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, and let me just tell you, Brian was talking about the weight or the gross tonnage. Ben McCree's gross tonnage was 12,747 tonnes. The Manxman's gross tonnage is 24,161. So considerably heavier than Ben McCree and quite a bit wider than Ben McCree as well. So that's the state of our brand new boat, £78 million worth of boat built in South Korea and not going out today because of the wind. The story about what's happening on Laxey Beach. and who's paid for it and what exactly is happening. The stones have been removed from Laxey Beach by the DoI to help lessen coastal overtopping in the village. Garth commissioners say it's been lobbying government to do some beach management for a long time because of the amount of damage it's caused to the village in the past. It's also hoped that moving some stones to the foot of the seawall will protect the structure. Our local democracy reporter Emma Draper has been chatting to Laxey Commissioner Melanie Christian.
Well, we obviously had Storm Debbie a few weeks ago, and as a result of that, a lot of the stones moved completely away from the north end of the beach to the point where you walk down the steps and literally there was a big gap stepping onto the beach as a result of the storm. So local residents then reported that when the waves hit the wall, it's because of the void and the lack of stones, it's compromising the strength of the wall. So the DoI have now decided to move the stones from the south end of Laxey Beach up to the north end to try and protect the wall and the road underneath.
Did the commissioners request it, or was it just the DoI office that decided to do it?
As my understanding, it was the DoI who decided to do that because it's a little bit of a grey area. The commissioners own the beach, but the DoI own the wall and the road. So it's just making sure the integrity of that wall is kept safe.
Is this tied into the flood protection works that are going on? Is that something entirely different?
It is linked to it because obviously the commissioners welcome the department's initiative to look forward to seeing if it's successful in moving these stones and protecting the wall. Local residents do report that when the stones weren't there was a big vibration against the wall and that they felt their properties were actually shaking from the waves. So having the stones there sort of lessens the energy from the waves and eases the vibration. So we obviously want to work with the DoI in limiting that, but it definitely does seem there needs to be something done in that area long term.
How were you made aware that this was happening? Was it contact from residents or was it something that they came to you about?
I think it's just everyone's really observation. I think particularly after Storm Debbie, I walked down the beach myself a few days later and noticed that a lot of the stones had moved. Residents then reported about this vibration against the wall, and there was also a feeling that when the stones aren't there, more debris, it does appear to be thrown up onto the road after sort of high tides and bad weather.
Is this something that you at the commissioners get a lot of contact about the beach and stones and storms and things like that?
I think there is a general concern in particularly Laxey about flooding and coastal overtopping, and that is something we're all concerned about. So we are very aware when there is a yellow weather warning for coastal overtopping that we do have resources in place to help local residents deal with that.
Melanie Christian talking to Emma Draper about the stones on Laxey Beach. So the commissioners asked the DoI to do something about it.
Andy Wint, the nation station, Manx Radio.
Hello, this is Doug Farragher. In conjunction with Manx Radio, I'd like to invite you to join us and learn something about our native Gaelic tongue, the language of man.
On Sunday, the 10th of December at 3:30 p.m, don't miss the Queen's Pier Christmas Carol service and Christmas tree light switch on by Mark Horan. Carols will be led by the local choir and Father Christmas will be there, festive face painting and much more. Enjoy free refreshments including hot drinks and mince pies, courtesy of Flutter International, who are kindly sponsoring this event. There will be a bucket collection for the Queen's Pier Trust, and for more substantial donations, please call Graham on 355 104. This audio has been kindly sponsored by Paul Carey & Sons.
At ShopRite, we're slicing over a third off Balakashig Farms Manx meat with our festive Super 6. Manx Carvery bone-in rib beef, £6 per pound. Boneless rib, just £7 per pound. Manx Silverside joints, $3.50 per pound. Sirloin at $7.50 per pound. Fillet steaks and joints, $12.75 per pound. At these prices, a Sunday roast can be any day you choose. Stock the freezer, and today's great value will look even better after Christmas. The All Manx Festive Super 6, only at ShopRite.
Oh! Problems with your spine and posture can have a serious effect on your quality of life, but a Line for Life spine clinic could help. If you're suffering from back pain, neck pain, headaches, their holistic scientific approach could find and treat the root cause of the problem for long-lasting relief. Touch A Line for Life now, or call 629 444. A Line for Life, the island's spine and posture clinic, here to make life better.
Feeding friends and family with the finest the island has to offer. The Forge Smokehouse and Grill Santon. Fresh Manx produce marinated, slowly cooked, grilled and smoked to perfection right here and served in a gorgeous setting. Just walk in anytime, no booking needed. Parties, family gatherings and weddings, the perfect venue for any occasion. And don't forget our large marquee for any event. Visit theforge.im and see.
This evening at 6 you can join me, Marilyn Crellin, for Shack Lair.
It's available in all the good Manx bookshops and it is priced at $14.99, an absolute bargain.
It's free in, but you pay to get out, if you want to get out at the end of the night. But
really helping people to explore lots of lovely traditional songs that we have.
That's this evening at 6. Shack Lair with me, Marilyn Crellin, here on Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
23 minutes before 1. Juan dropped a note in on 491. Get rid of the bishop movement from the government is another attack on our heritage. And the title Bishop of Sodor and Man is unique to the Isle of Man. And it should be kept. It's not been made much of, really, and we haven't heard much from the church about this, but the Diocese of Sodor and Man at the moment it covers the Isle of Man, but it used to be a lot bigger. I mean, the Diocese of Sodor, the Norwegian Diocese of Sodor was formed in 1154. In the 12th century, it covered the Hebrides and other islands along the west coast of Scotland. And obviously the Isle of Man got included into it as well. So it's old. It's very, very historic. And the Diocese of Sodor and Man, it comes under York, the ecclesiastical province of York, but we do have a bishop, the Bishop of Sodor and Man, and not many other places of our size have it. It's one of those things, whether you are or aren't religious or spiritual, what you think about it, it's very it's historic. And possibly one of those things, if you have no feelings about whether the bishop should either be sitting in Lechgo or have a vote, is it one of those things that maybe you don't use, but you like the idea that it's there? It's a bit like the Gaiety Theatre, isn't it? The vast majority of people don't go to the Gaiety Theatre on a regular basis, but it's nice to know it's there. A bit like the steam railway or the electric railway or the horse trams, for that matter. The vast majority of people on the Isle of Man never use the horse trams, but kind of like the idea that they're there because they've been there for a long time and it's the only one in the world like it. Thank you, Louise. Dropped a note in and said, what is the situation with the mail? Well, the boat didn't sail this morning, therefore all mail collected yesterday, including special delivery next day items, haven't been dispatched. The mail will be dispatched on the next available sailing, which is going to be tonight. Inbound mail arrived yesterday evening. That's processed for delivery as normal today, but due to the cancelled sailing, inbound mail won't arrive this evening, obviously because it's not going to come back this evening. Instead, this will be coming in on the next available sailing, which is going to be tomorrow morning, and then they'll process it. So basically, because we don't have the mail plane, well, you kind of know what the situation is. And more messages in: public money shouldn't go to private corporations. If they can't afford to build affordable housing, how can Manx people ever buy housing? The question, says 179, that should be asked is, why are things so unaffordable? The answer is sky-high demand for property from outside investors. We hear that. That's an anecdotal thing. We hear about this, but nobody ever makes this public. Nobody ever says who's buying the property from outside. Listening to that Radio 4 programme on whistleblowers and reading the accompanying article on the BBC website, including a couple of emails, confirms how nasty senior managers are to anybody who challenges them professionally. A common factor is that there are no consequences for the perpetrators, says 236, who get away with it every time. I don't know whether you've heard that particular programme about whistleblowers. Includes the Dr. Rosalind Ranson case when she, how can I put it, crossed swords with Catherine Magson. And it ended, as you know, with a £4 million bill to the taxpayers of the Isle of Man. Keep the bishop and get rid of Lieutenant Governor. How much do they cost and what do they do, says Dan. And the other thing is, what's going on with tax bills due on the 6th of January? I haven't had my bill yet. It's a few weeks to go for the deadline for payment. Is there anybody else who's got this problem? This will cause a lot of concern for people trying to plan what money they have for Christmas, says Paul. Have you had your tax bill yet? Oh, dear. That's going to happen today now, isn't it? Now we've prompted the universe. Voting options 476. I feel we need the none of the above option. They're following agendas from unelected bureaucrats from the likes of the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization. We need politicians who work for the little man and not for the elites, says 476. 476, are you a little man or are you in the elites? The Green Agenda is not there to help the people, but to reintroduce feudalism, says that anonymous contributor on 476. I had exactly the same experience paying my gas bill, 651. Eventually got through to a human being, was asked for my number in case, of course, we got cut off. Was told that we were transferring to a secure payment line, then got cut off. Nobody rang back, so I had to call again and go through the whole thing again, but it got sorted eventually, 651. And how much time did that take of your time? Probably enough time to make yourself a sandwich. The inspection of out-of-man schools, says D. The DESC has engaged Tribal, a private UK-based company, to inspect our schools. 236 again. And does UCM get scrutinised at the same time? And Jim says, Jim 917, why do Manx Gas... why have they got call handling software in place? Do they get so many calls a person can't handle them? Surely not. And why can't everybody that answers take a payment? PDQ machines aren't a rare thing, says Jim. Thanks also. It's not funny not having a boat service. It's not funny having a rubbish airport, but nobody cares here anymore, says Andy. Well, the airport's fine. It's just that there was an air traffic controller. There was a problem with there was some sickness, I think, involved this morning with air traffic control, so there was a delay. The airport's fine, as with everything. It's the people that you have problems with in any organisation. The issue with telephone payments was explained to me yesterday, says 452. NatWest / IOM Bank require you to approve a payment via the online app. So you need telephone and internet at the same time to make the payment. A very nice person at the insurance company explained everything to me and then took the money, says 452. We should send the Manxman back to Korea and get a replacement. It's a new vessel. It should be guaranteed. I think we've paid for it. I think it's caveat emptor. I wonder what gross tonnage is nothing to do with weight. It's a measure of volume. I'm a naval architect and I've calculated such matters previously, says John in Farm Hill. So what's the difference then between gross tonnage and weight? Could you tell me in a couple of sentences? Your caller regarding MLCs and artificial intelligence seems to be working, says John. And thanks, the Manxman isn't twice the weight of the Ben. The gross... Richard knows all about this. The gross registered tonnage is a measure of the closed internal volume of the ship in cubic metres, with the covered upper deck and full-length passenger areas as the internal volume is greater. GRT is nothing to do with physical weight. Did you get that?
We're gathered here today.
All her friends thought Kerry was going to be a right bridezilla. She was so determined that everything had to be totally perfect. But they needn't have worried, because Conister Bank had Kerry's back.
Do you, Kerry, have the Conister feeling?
I so do. Wedding finance with a 3-month honeymoon period before payments start. Visit conisterbank.co.im and you can get the Conister feeling too. All loans are subject to status. Terms and conditions apply. Early settlement fees apply.
With EPS coatings.
Your house could be looking as good as the day it was painted for 10 years. Guaranteed.
Whatever the Manx weather brings.
The revolutionary Protect system from EPS Coatings. Ultimate protection for your home, guaranteed for 10 years. Book now for next spring and get 10% off. Search EPS Coatings Isle of Man and keep your house beautiful for longer with EPS.
The holidays remind us of family, love, and the importance of planning for the future.
This festive season, we found peace of mind, all thanks to Man Benham.
Book an end-of-year consultation. Let's secure tomorrow, today.
Everyone's more conscious of energy usage nowadays, so Manx Utilities has begun installing smart meters for standard domestic customers island-wide. With our Smart Living app available too, you'll be in control of tracking and managing your energy. No need to contact us. We'll be in touch when we're ready to fit your smart meter. Visit the Smarter Living page at manxutilities.in. Manx Utilities, delivering a smarter future.
After 2 disappointing results on home soil, another chance to return to better ways is up for grabs for FC Isle of Man this weekend. The Ravens are back at the bowl to welcome Barnoldswick Town this Saturday, with just 1 point separating both sides going into this clash. Join me, Rob Pritchard and Tony Mepham for FC Isle of Man versus Barnoldswick Town, kicking off this Saturday at 6 p.m. Manx Radio will be providing full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels. Live coverage of FC Isle of Man on Manx Radio is supported by Selton, investing in our community.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Now, write this 100 times. Gross tonnage is a measure of volume, not weight. Okay, so everybody knows this. Gross tonnage is a measure of volume, not weight. Don't forget, says Terry Kay, to add £6 million for changing the Edward Pier onto the cost of the Manxman. Who bought the ship that won't fit into Douglas Harbour? Terry Kay. And a suggested slogan for the government to attract 15,000 new residents: come to the Isle of Man and you'll never leave because there are no planes or boats. 313. Somebody will think of that. These yellow weather warnings make me think we're told to stay at home as it's raining now, says Alan. It's hundreds of Manx people use the horse tram. We have regulars that visit the stables several times a week when the season is running. It's great. I'm not doubting hundreds of people use the horse trams, but the majority of people don't. I'm not saying that's a bad or a good thing, but this is an argument that's used by people who don't think we should be funding the horse trams, don't think we should have the horse trams. Some people think they're a waste of money and that they slow the traffic down, and that we should, let alone the fact that, you know, notwithstanding the fact that they are unique in the world and are very old, some people think we shouldn't have them. But then again, that's an argument for another time, because we still haven't approved our halfway horse tram to go the full hog to the sea terminal so they can ferry all those cruise ship passengers next year up to Douglas Promenade to the top to the electric railway. Maybe they'll do it in time now. But little bits of the Isle of Man are falling off. Little bits are being allowed to crumble and fall away, and perhaps that other half of the horse tram is going to be one of those. Iconic, but some people don't want the horse trams to run. And some people quite high up don't want the horse trams to run. Nobody's talking about getting rid of the bishop. The conversation is about whether he should have a vote in Tynwald. Removing his vote will not remove him. There are many more bishops in the UK than those that sit in the House of Lords. No vote doesn't mean no bishop. Well, the Archbishop of York hinted that when he gave a response last year, or was it earlier this year, to whether or not the vote should be removed. The Archbishop of York hinted that really, without a say or a position in Legco within Tynwald and the vote, that the position of the bishop would be diminished. There'd be a diminution of influence of the church on the Isle of Man. So we'd have to see really what the Archbishop of York has to say. And John's on now. Hi, John.
Hello, Andy. It's on the subject you just talking about.
Okay.
I don't know whether it probably has come to your notice. Of the members that voted for the assisted dying bill, is it a coincidence that about 2 of them voted to stop the bishop having a vote? it has a very peculiar smell about it all, really.
So you obviously, I mean, just to get this straight then, you think the bishop should stay in Tynwald, in Ledgco, and should have a vote, yeah? I
certainly do. Part of the fabric of Tynwald. And an ancient, as you say, going back to about the 10th century, and it's a very important part of Tynwald.
What would you say to the people who think it's a kind of anachronistic, it's just a relic of the past and we should move on to the future?
It's part of the history of the Isle of Man, and these people, these members have no right to destroy the history of the Isle of Man. Okay. And they should really think twice about what they're voting for. I think it's quite sinister, really, when you take it that all but two of the members decided to vote to remove the bishop's vote. I think there's something more behind this. They don't want a moral point of view with regard to the assisted dying bill. And do you think that if the bishop were removed or his ability to vote were removed, I mean, what would that say on Tynwald Day when, there's a religious element to Tynwald Day? There's a religious element to the House of Keys meeting as well, with prayers. Exactly. And the thing is, to go into the Royal Chapel of St. John's, the ones that are voting for the removal of the bishop's vote are hypocrites. And they shouldn't attend that service. Okay. All right, John, we appreciate your call. Thanks for calling today. Okay, Andy. Cheers now. 7 minutes before 1 on Manx Radio. If you've got any thoughts on this matter, then by all means do get in touch. And certainly that's one of many, many issues that we churn around on Mannin Line every day. Open line today, open line tomorrow, and Monday and Tuesday. Next Wednesday, the Chief Constable is going to be on Mannin Line. Russ Foster, KM, KPM, will be on, and Russ Foster, the Chief Constable, will be talking about really his first 6, 7, 8 months in charge of the constabulary, where we're going for the future, and there are lots of things that the Chief Constable has been responsible for. Certainly the Operation Achilles, the anti-drugs operation, also combating criminality, antisocial behaviour. Of course, he had those recent community meetings. There's the idea about, he was talking earlier on this year when he was on Mannin Line about conditions, pay, recruitment and retention. So that's Chief Constable on next Wednesday. A week tomorrow, that's Friday the 15th, the Chief Minister will be on Mannin Line, Alfred Cannon, MHK, looking back on the year. And then on Monday the 18th, it's Teresa Cope, the Chief Exec of Manx Care, reporting on Manx Care for this year. And if you want to get in touch with any of them, Chief Constable, Chief Minister, Chief Exec of Manx Care, you can either call on the day, text, email, call and WhatsApp, or you can drop me a note in the meantime to manninline@manxradio.com, or you can leave a message on the answer phone on 682 631. So Russ Foster, Chief Constable, next Wednesday, Alfred Cannon, Chief Minister, a week on Friday, and Teresa Cope a week next Monday the 18th. Also, something, I'm just writing this down, by the way. Get this straight, I've been saying this to myself all day long. Gross tonnage is a measure of volume, not weight. Say it after me. Gross tonnage is a measure of volume, not weight. Is everybody certain about this? Why does Mr. Hooper, says Anne, want to get rid of the bishop's vote? Then surely we should get rid of MLCs. If the MLCs stay, then so should the bishop, because the MLCs aren't elected by the people, they're elected by MHKs. Thank you, Anne. 248. It's wonderful that Garth commissioners are looking after Laxey. I wonder if they know that Garth reaches 15 miles north of Laxey. The potholes in Scarf Ridge Road will soon swallow up small cars like mine.
When the Mannin Line's not on air, call Manx Radio to leave your opinion for broadcast on 682 631.
Daphne has got a very posh MX-5. They go like the wind, they do, don't they, Daphne? We sorely miss Bobby Muckton. He used to remind the rest of them that Maccled and Ballajora is part of Garth. So get the Scarf Ridge Road mended, please. After the news at 1 o'clock, Christy is on with 1 to 3 with Christy D. I concur, says 557. Soda and Man is unique. The MER, the prom, the tramway, part of our heritage. It's all well known by children due to Thomas the Tank Engine. Yes, the island of Soda. I'm not sure that's a political argument, but it's one worth mentioning. Thanks to Chris Quirk on the phones today.
WINT.